Hey there, it's Lisa Chell with Modern Vegan Family, and welcome into Chell's office today, where we are interviewing Laura Simonson, who is president and founder and chief visionary of Dogg Canine Nutrition Company. Hi, Laura.
Hi, Lisa.
So a little bit of background info on why I love Laura so much and why I wanted her to be a guest and why she's going to be a frequent guest is that Laura and I met years ago when she shared, we shared a commonality as kind of vegan soul sisters, but she also shared a vision with me that I could really see changing the world. And it was about our canine companions, our canine family, and how they could also thrive on plants and creating a wholesome, whole food, plant-based diet for dogs. And there are a few things out there in the kibble department, but nothing that has been a whole food, and definitely nothing that has been scientifically proven to be healthy for dogs. And the question that I always love that Laura and all the team at Dogg Canine Nutrition, and I am part of the team at Dogg Canine Nutrition too, poses is, what if we could prove that plants are as healthy and life-giving to dogs as they are to humans? Because of course, if you'd have to be completely off the grid by now not to have seen all the new news coming onto the internet and onto TV. Dr. Oz is talking about it. Magazines, I think, what was the big magazine? Forbes just did a thing on veganism and plant-based living. So it's everywhere for humans, but what if it could have the same benefits for dogs? So Laura, let's start off. Can dogs eat plant foods?
It's really the first time that I had even thought of this, Lisa, was back in 1987, 1988. And I saw this book and I went, what if? It said dogs can be vegetarians as well. And it never left me. And years later, as we started to do the research, I had made a choice to have Shanti as a plant-based dog. She was a border collie. She had a phenomenal life, being vegetarian and then vegan. And when we started to look at the evidence, and we started to look at what the veterinarian community were even saying around the globe, not just one vet or two vets, but around the globe, for 95% or 96, 98% of vets were saying, yes, of course, dogs are non-obligate carnivores. That's what they're taught in veterinary school. So yes, they are more omnivorous. They're scavenger style. If you think about it, right, Lisa, your dog will just go out and eat anything outside for the most part, and most dogs will, right? And so yes, of course they can. And I say that with a lot of confidence because I've experienced it now for several years, and we're also in the process of providing the evidence. So you can go to our website, and we'll get the information later, but where you can go and learn about what vets and professionals are saying about whether or not a dog can be an omnivore, whether or not a dog could thrive on plant-based foods.
Okay, so Laura, people know that here in our house, we feed our dog a plant-based diet. And our dog came into our family after we were already vegan. And I didn't want to bring meat in the house. And by then you and I were good friends. And you just got me started right away on a plant-based diet for Krishna. And I never questioned it. I'm an early adopter kind of person. I trusted you. I never questioned it. But I get asked all the time by my friends about what I'm feeding him and how do I know that it's safe and how do I know I can be confident that he's going to be healthy? So here's the question. How do you know that it's safe and healthy?
Exactly. And that's exactly the when we made the choice to start Dogg, we knew that we wanted to set out to provide the evidence. That's not an easy task, which is why we haven't really seen it yet. There's only a couple of studies that are pointing towards the possibility, but even with the large corporate dog food companies, they aren't providing evidence showing that a dog can thrive just on plant-based foods. They do have those foods available for dogs that do need it, and I'll talk about that later as to why they would. But there weren't any studies showing fresh, whole, plant-based foods, and can dogs thrive on that? So we set out to do that. We made a choice that we're going to start Dogg by proving it, by showing the evidence, by providing to you people that love your animal. You love your dog, rather. You love your companion. You love your fur love. You know, we have so many different things that we call our beautiful companions. Is you want to know that you can trust that food, and that that food has been not just called certified by AFCO, which is a term that's, you know, common. It's not a certification. It's following perhaps what they say should be in the food and what nutrient levels should be in the food, but they haven't done any feeding trials. So we've made a choice, feeding trials with veterinarians here in Vancouver, and we've started that. And we did our first trials here in 2016. They went beautifully. We had 20 dogs that loved the food. All of them couldn't get enough of the food, and then we showed through blood tests, through urinalysis, that either it was a positive outcome, a better outcome, or neutral. So we showed during a 12-week program and a feeding trial that dogs can thrive. Now that's just the beginning, because there's so much more for us to know, and we want to see long-term how will dogs thrive, right? And how will they, just like they are now, somewhat, right? Because we're seeing the same healthcare issues for dogs as we are in the human world. So anyways, we've started that process. We're doing more feeding trials right now, and that will continue because that's our company's, it's our foundation. That's how we're going to continue to bring out new formulations, is that they've been tested, and we're going to show people what happened. So it's very exciting.
So just very briefly, because I know a lot of people are not going to understand this terminology, and they might be thinking dogs in cages getting fed. So just really briefly, to be clear and give people confidence, what do you mean by feeding trial?
Good point. A typical feeding trial, when it is done in typical laboratory style, is that the animals are kept in cages and they're fed in a very pristine environment, and that's was the gold standard. And it's interesting because what I'm now seeing in the pet food trends, following the feedback in the industry, is that people want to see less of the laboratory style. They want to see more of the love and the nurturing in the home of a family. On their marketing and their packaging, not the lab anymore. It's interesting, isn't it? So what we knew, of course, we couldn't do that. We're not going to have any dogs in any cage. They need to be at home. So there are certain standards, and those are the things that we're setting out new protocols. Each time we do a feeding trial, we're learning more and more about what we need to do to work with the parents of the animals, so that we are, really giving good guidelines, what they need to do at home in the environment. So it's at home. They of course are living with their family while they're eating the foods. So we provided both foods and treats that are conducive for the trial, and the dogs are to have only that during the trial. So it's we're getting lots of different questions, and we're going to provide all kinds of answers with regards to how that's working, and we'll share what if they did eat something outside, and if they did get sick from eating something. Well, that's real life living. So what we're showing is that even during a 12-week trial, if those dogs did go out and eat some off food or garbage or something on the beach, they say here in Vancouver, that they still show they had good blood tests during that time. They didn't have to be in a laboratory. So you see, it's interesting. We're going to start to see some good things.
So tell me, around these, now you've had your first 12 weeks. I know some more dogs are going through the next set of feeding trials, but tell me about some of the issues that some of the dogs had going into some of the, I guess the question is, what are some of the most common issues that a dog had, and what are some of the results you saw with those issues when they came at the end of the feeding trial?
Great, good question. And really, and this is the part we wanted to make, go, Lisa, to why we felt plant-based foods. Number one, it's a beautiful option. It's a beautiful choice to have for just general great health. That was what we wanted to set out. And I'll get to answer your question here in a second. The next thing was many dogs have food sensitivity issues. And it's because for years, months, they're eating denatured foods, and they do create food sensitivities to some of these foods, or the preservatives, the toxic ingredients that are in some of the foods. So that's one of the things, another reason. And another is just with regards to the ethical, I'm wanting my dog to eat the same as I do, but I want to be clear that I'm not doing it just for my ethical reasons. I want to know that it's also good for the dog, good for my dog, right? So what we found with the trial and what we invited, with regards to our vet partners, we sat down and went through that we felt to dogs that are in generally good health. Maybe they have some mysterious issues, but they're not chronic and it wasn't life-threatening issue. And food sensitivity. So food sensitivity issues come, skin, ears and eyes and things like that, as well as some, gastrointestinal issues that were also plaguing some of the dogs. And we had the best results in that area. Certainly the dogs that were in general good health remained in that way. But the best place that we saw the results were dogs stopped biting their feet. They stopped scratching. We had, you'll see on our website, there were a couple of dogs that had overnight changes in their skin and ears and eyes. So that was rewarding because one dog, one of the vet techs that it was her dog, she thought she may end up having to say goodbye to him because he was in such rough condition. So we're really, really excited about those results. And then the other was weight management. Dogs can get overweight. It's, we're overfeeding them. Sometimes we think that chunky is healthy, but for dogs it's not. So there's a few places that we're looking at that could be beneficial, and certainly other disease conditions down the road as we develop our formulas.
So you're going to be a guest on Modern Vegan Family a number of times because there's just too many things to talk about in relation to this. It's so interesting, and we're going to just kind of wrap it up for today because you gave some really intriguing points that would get people thinking about, why would I want to have plant foods for my dog, or what might it do for my dog because they have this, and this issue? Because certainly I know I get asked a lot of questions about our dog's diet, and I know that I'm going to be trying to refer them more to you, but I can't answer all those questions. But for now, when people say, well, I would like to know more, or I want to know more about the results of the feeding trial, or how can I follow dog and see where they are so that eventually I can get foods, please share with our viewers how they can follow you, connect with you, get more information from your website.
Right, okay, great. Definitely at this point, because we're in the process of just doing the feeding trials, we'll be moving into our pilot production, which will serve more feeding trials and some commercial and new customers as we're going along. So at this point, to get on our mailing list, so you can, if you're in the Vancouver area and you'd like to get on a mailing list, it's just go to dogfood.ca and you can sign on to our mailing list there. And then the other is to check with your veterinarian if you're in the Vancouver area to see if they've heard of us yet, or they might be part of our feeding trials already. And the other is to send me a message to let me know, if there's anything that we could possibly answer for you, and I may be able to point you somewhere to give you some good information on plant-based foods for dogs, because that's our whole goal, is education, events. We have a vegan veterinarian who's just recently joined us, Dr. Radhika Raj, and we do monthly events now. We're having another one here next month. So information, education, anything that we can do to provide that for you. And of course, you'll find us on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter. We've got to get that Instagram going again more, Lisa. We've got some good events happening, so more Instagram and things like that. So we're in the regular places, and of course, go to our website, dogfoods.ca.
And I want to let people know that dog is D-O-G-G.
Thank you. doggfood.ca. And Lisa, can I say the reason why we've called it dogs is to end with that dog with the extra G, and our mantra, our tagline is the new generation of dog. That's the extra G. We are seeing that as we are, just as humans, and we're evolving to more of a whole foods, plant-based diet. That's our goal with dog, and much more than just great dog foods. But we're setting out to make this a full-on lifestyle company for living a beautiful life with you and your dog.
So one last word of inspiration, and this could be based on your passion, some heartfelt message you want to send to the viewers, a tidbit, something that could help them. What would be your last words to share with the viewers regarding them and their dogs and what you're doing to change the world for dogs and for humans. And
well, like you, just to go back of what you said about you and your dog, it starts with us. It starts with our individual homes making the choice. And to have a choice available is what, for you now, Lisa, that you have choices available, food choices that you can share, and you do your videos and you do your love of sharing the foods. That's what we want to provide and have for dogs. So you can do the same thing. So for me, it's like, if you just to think what's possible, myself, my dog, my family, we're sharing in those same foods, that same peace-giving lifestyle, what a difference it can make. And so to me, that's just everything. If we can provide that to our families and our companion animals, I think we have peace-filled plates, we have a peace-filled world. It really is. And so I'm excited that I'm a part of that, and I get to share the information that we're getting through Dog.
I love that, and I'm glad I'm part of it with you. So I just want to thank everybody for coming to Modern Vegan Family. Please subscribe to the channel, and certainly we're going to have Laura back on more videos so that she can answer questions not only about dogs and plants, but also Laura does a lot of mentoring and does networking events on building vegan business. So, she's a woman of many talents, and you're going to find her interesting on many levels. And I hope you come back and watch further interviews with her, because you know what? The plant-based movement is where it's at. Dr. Oz said 2017, it's going to be the year of the vegan. So let's give a peace, love, and plants, y'all.
Peace, love, dogs, y'all.